Welcome back to another episode of ROC Boys Football. We are continuing with our college football bowl previews as we head out to the Fenway Bowl between two teams that probably have a little animosity cooking between them. Two teams that had a little bit of disappointing years, but also teams that are very optimistic about the future, both getting new coaching staffs, and you're going to get a chance. There's opt-outs on both sides of the ball. You're about to get a chance to see what some of these young players are about and what kind of talent are going to be able to be playmakers in 2023. That's kind of where bowl season is going. A little less emphasis on winning the football game and a little bit more emphasis on seeing what you have for the future. Before we get into it, though, again, just want to say thank you guys for the support you guys have shown the channel. Again, we love talking ball. We love talking the NFL draft, and we love talking with you guys in the comment section. So if you guys do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel. That is the best way you can support the fellas, and we always appreciate the support you guys have shown. Dill, I'm going to kick it off to you. Early takes on the Fenway Bowl.
I mean, I think the one thing you got to talk about a little is the drama with the coaching moves. Satterfield going over to Cincinnati, and in a move that actually probably helped Louisville more than anything because you're getting your guy back. Jeff Brom's coming home. I feel like all you see on Louisville Twitter is bring Jeff Brom home. Why isn't he coaching Louisville? And he's here. I'm not totally convinced Satterfield didn't get like sneaky pushed out or like low-key fire because, again, the Louisville fans, the administration, everything never seemed to embrace Satterfield, and he never seemed to really embrace them. So I don't know. It just feels like it made sense for both parties. Satterfield goes to a Cincinnati team that's emerging, and Luke Fickell's leaving him in very good hands, and now Louisville gets their guy. So it feels like it worked out for both of them, even though I imagine Louisville fans hate Scott Satterfield.
You gotta hate. I mean, he's kind of been a rat, like interviewing for other jobs and like lying about it. The Louisville fans didn't want him, and the only reason it seemed like he was still around is because he had such a good 2023 recruiting class coming in, which is now falling apart. Jeff Brom, I think, is a better coach, and I think it made sense for both parties. Like nobody really wanted you in Louisville, Coach Satterfield. He goes to Cincinnati. And then Louisville, they get kind of their dream hire with Coach Brom coming back to Louisville. In terms of the game, I think what I want to say and how you might make your pick on this game or handicap this game is looking at what team do you think doesn't lose the most to opt-outs. You take a look at the Cincinnati team. Guys, they have some Josh Wiley opting out, Trey Tucker opting out, two of their best playmakers on the offensive side of the ball leaving the program. What you want to see as a Cincinnati fan, if you're a Cincinnati bettor, is what are you going to get from Evan Prater? Obviously, Ben Bryant out with the injury. Evan Prater starts against Tulane, which is a very good defense. Again, this is a Tulane team that not only won the conference, but beat a team like Kansas State earlier in the year. Didn't look good in the first half, but looked way, way better in the second half. And this is a Louisville defense that, has some talent, but it's also it's a gettable defense. And I'm kind of excited if I were to put my money on Cincinnati, would be on Evan Prater starting to figure it out. This guy has all the tools, can make all the throws. He's a very good athlete. He just needs to figure it out at the college football level. And if you believe he can do that, then Cincinnati might be the pick here.
And that's what you're excited about. I think if you're Cincinnati, you'd much rather see Evan Prater in this game than Ben Bryant, because I think most fans in Cincinnati just feel like this year was like Ben Bryant wasn't going to play more than 1 year because when you got the guy waiting, I think naturally you're a little antsy to see him. And they finally did. And again, what you kind of say, he's got the athleticism, he's got the arm, albeit he's got an oddly slow release. And I think you'd like to see if that can quicken a little bit because it's like kind of odd watching. But he's facing a Louisville defense that isn't going to overwhelm him. They're not like dominant up front or anything. And K-Trail Clark obviously has opted out, their best secondary player. So he's got an opportunity to shine, I would think.
Yeah, that the Evan Prater situation, like if you guys remember in the summer, I wanted to see Evan Prater just because I didn't think this Cincinnati team would be nearly as good as last year. So if you have a opportunity to kind of take a building year and let Evan Prater get his feet wet a little bit, I thought they should have taken it. Now, Cincinnati, and this is just a credit to Luke Fickell and the Cincinnati football program in general, were way better than I thought they'd be. I mean, there was still a team that up until late November was pushing for a conference title. And so Ben Bryant was the better quarterback. They went with him, and they still had a very, very good 9-3 season. You look over at Louisville, they also have some key transfers, probably more key transfers. Obviously, Malik Cunningham, the offense runs through this dude. He's opted out. Tyon Evans, the star running back, opted out. Tyler Hudson, really, I mean, if you look at Louisville and the production they have gotten through the passing game, and Tyler Hudson's accounted for like almost half of it. And so Tyler Hudson also opting out. That hurts Louisville. I think Louisville's the more talented team, I think. And if you had a full healthy Louisville team versus a fully healthy Cincinnati team, I'm probably leaning Louisville. Now, that being said, I think Louisville's losing a lot more playmakers than Cincinnati is in this bowl game. And that kind of makes this pick a little bit more murky for me, Dill. Like, where are you leaning here? I don't know where I'm leaning yet.
And that's kind of what I'm thinking. Like, when you saw when you can hurt Cincinnati and their defense, I think you need to be able to get outside and play on the perimeter. And that's how Tulane was able to do it with a stretch run game and running guys across the field on play action. Like, that's what worked. And I just don't see when you don't have Malik Cunningham and you don't have your star wideout and you're losing one of your star backs, I just don't see how they're going to be able to play that athletic style of football that I think they should need to play to challenge the Cincinnati defense. And again, you look at what Brock Doman did in the games, times you saw him. I just don't see the dynamic offense that's going to do a whole lot against the Bearcats. So I'm thinking the Bearcats pretty easy, honestly, if you're going to ask.
And there's a little bit more I don't know the word,
continuity.
There it is, continuity, where Kerry Combs is like stepping in as the interim coach. So you still have a guy who's familiar with the scheme. This Cincinnati team is a very solid. It's not as much of a star-studded defense as it was last year when you had guys like Sauce Gardner. That being said, this Cincinnati defense, Ivan Pace Jr., I haven't heard that he's opted out. I think he's one of the best linebackers in the country, and we're getting into our 2023 NFL draft stuff, and he might be a top 5 linebacker for me. I think he's an absolute stud. Like, the Cincinnati team, although it doesn't have the studs that it did last year, I think it's still a very, very good defense. And kind of going back to what you said, how is Louisville hurting it? They don't have their dynamic guy, Malik Cunningham. They're losing a guy like Tyon Evans. And then again, through the air, if you want to throw the football through the air, you don't have Tyler Hudson. Their next leading receiver was tight end Marshawn Ford with only 400 yards receiving. I don't see the dynamic way that this Louisville offense can hurt you like they've had when they've been successful this year. And so I'm probably leaning Cincinnati because Evan Prater, although inexperienced, he is a dynamic dude that can make plays. And when you got to pick him line like this one, I'm probably leaning the Bearcats. And again, this is a winning football program. The guys in that locker room are used to winning football games. You can't always say the same for Louisville. Again, if you're a fan of Louisville, you want to see some of those young guys come in, see if they can be playmakers. But I do think this game means a little bit more to Cincinnati. Whenever you have a G5 team playing a Power 5 team, that group of 5 team is going to want to show that they can hang at that next level. I think Cincinnati
Louisville's going to want to Louisville's kind of resetting, if we're being honest.
Yeah, agreed.
I don't suspect they're like this roster is going to turn over a lot. I feel like in 2 years because Brahm's like just a different kind of coach than Satterfield, and I mean naturally, whenever you lose a coach, you're going to lose some players, and in the way that Louisville lost their guy, I just feel like it's going to create. Yeah, you're just going to have a lot of turnover again when you don't have your starting quarterback or a quarterback who feels like he's going to be part of the future in a meaningful way. I think I'm kind of with you. I think Cincinnati, at least the base of their team, is going to be the base of their team. I just don't think that's the case for Louisville.
And this is coming from the gut right here. If you ask me a team where it's like there's a lot of turnover, there's a lot of question marks about the future, and you're trying to make a pick on a bowl game, you're going to want to lean with the team that's feels a little bit more together. It feels a little bit more solid. And it's really hard to argue that the Louisville team is a little bit more together or solid than the Cincinnati Bearcats team. So, yeah, Louisville might have a small talent edge, but this Cincinnati team is going to want to win this football game.
Do you think Satterfield can do some tips, some inside?
I don't know how that's going to look. But this Cincinnati Bearcats team just feels a little bit more together. They have their Benedict Arnold with Satterfield, definitely giving some plays as well. I mean, that's another interesting storyline to follow. But again, I'm also
not participating, though. He's not participating.
Although this game might not be the prettiest football game, I think both fan bases are going to be locked in. And I think the players will be locked in too. And I think it should be one of the more fun bowl games again. We appreciate you guys checking us out. Wanted to keep it short, but we wanted to talk about this bowl game because it is an interesting one. We appreciate you guys checking us out again. If you like the content, consider subscribing, and we'll talk to y'all later. Peace.